Start every video with a smile. All right, we're waiting for the guests to show up. Hopefully, everything is done correctly. Oh, body. It says we're live, but are we live? Are we live? I don't know. Can anybody hear me? Are we live? Anybody hear me? Oh, yep. Are we live? Okay, we're live. We are live. All right, waiting for our guest. Not sure what's happening. May have to start over. Let me tell you something. Working out is consistency. Sometimes when your body starts aching, you're older, you hadn't done it in a while, you got to rest. But take it's consistency. So it is definitely consistency. So I'm starting to feel and see certain results, but man, I at the point where I kick it in. But right now, we're in a calm state. So where are you at, Dr. Demeter? We'll try to add him once again. Oh, when you switch screens, it will pause on you. Interesting. And does it come back? Yeah, it comes back. Interesting. Very interesting. Uh-oh. We're supposed to be doing this, and man, we were talking like 20 minutes, and now we're trying to do the live, and not sure what's going on. Technical difficulties. But look at the subject that we're talking about. Man, we've been ever since last week when we discussed this topic, he's been researching, I've been researching, and being seen. It says add, open mind, add. See, there you go.
Got it. Yeah, click join.
Dr. Terrence Michael Demeter, DDDC.
So,
Hey,
Mr. Fred.
Hey, man, listen. All right, let's. I think because I got you in my ear. We're gonna test. I want you to say something for 10 seconds. I want to test the volume. I got you in my ear. We're gonna test. I want you to say something. You gotta talk.
I gotta talk. Okay, so if you're happy and you know it, click the link. If you're happy and you know it, click subscribe. If you're happy and you know it, give my channel a release.
All right, so that's cool. That's perfect. Perfect. That's what you're supposed to do. If you're happy and you know it, click the link. If you're happy and you know it, click subscribe. That's YouTube gold. YouTube gold. All right, so Look, this is an interesting video because this is not a part of my 60 days of video series. This is I wanted this to be a total separate entity within itself because of the topic that we're talking about. Um, so I think I put on here the NPC theory. This is I'm Frederick 24/7 365, and this is my guest, Dr. Terrence Michael Demeter, DC. His channel is Open Mind here on YouTube. Click the link, follow, like, and subscribe. Hey, say it again. If you're happy and you know it.
Click subscribe. If you're happy, you know it, click on like. If you're happy, you know it, then my channel will show it. If you're happy and you know it, click subscribe.
Man, I'm trying to tell you. Look, that is I gotta be able to take that clip and use that. That is awesome. That is completely awesome. I don't never remember seeing anybody do a video like that before. So that's awesome. I'm telling you, that's YouTube gold. So this is NPC theory. So I'm supposed to tell you this is my theory of it within 5 minutes, and we're going to go into a 25-minute discussion. Now, understand we are at 6 minutes into this video, so of course this ain't going to be a 30-minute video. It's going to be a 37-minute video because right before we get to the 37-minute mark, we're cutting it off. So I'm going to spend at 7 minutes on this video. I'm going to spend from 7 to 12 explaining my theory, and we're going to break down the discussion. So we got 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what I wrote to start out with, I said the NPC theory. What is the NPC theory? And I put all this in the description under what I'm reading. The NPC means non-playable characters. What does this mean in the so-called real-life third-dimensional reality? Elon Musk stated people are androids, cyborgs, and human robots. They're already cyborgs because they're glued to their phones, their computers, and basically follow the programming they have been given. And I kind of added this in. This is a little thing I added. Your home is where you bring your energy. You are not connected to a time, place, thing, building, structure, or system of anything. You are the universe. So that's something I put to make sure I had to know. So basically, what I feel the NPC theory is as simple as this. And Dr. Demeter sent me a very good one. This lady was talking about the background people, and that's backdrop people. So I think the other guy called them the background. I think his theory was the background, but she said backdrop.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a cumulative. How she broke it down, it is like it's in movies. Brad Pitt is prime example. I just saw Brad Pitt talking about this one of his first big breaks in Hollywood. He was asked to play a waiter. I mean, he's probably in his early 20s, young Brad Pitt, and all he was supposed to do was serve the people in the background. That's what his job was. But he was like, I'm gonna try to get me a line in. And he literally tried to get a line in. He went and actually tried to talk. And the director, us, said, if you do that again, I'm firing you. Because it's not in his program to talk. He wasn't supposed to ad lib or add in. He's just in the background. And that's what we're talking about NPCs. You looking out, you see kids playing, you see people driving over here, you see people at a stadium. But the question is, how many real souls are really there? I think this lady also said it, who we're talking about. I need to remember her name, but I do not remember her name.
That's Dolores Cannon.
Loris Cannon. She basically said there's limited amount of real souls here that if you wasn't in, like where I'm at right now, I haven't been here all day, but the moment I consciously was trying to come back here, this plane of existence, this room, this area came back into existence. Before I started thinking of it, it wasn't even here. Even though this is my place, all this stuff was just a thought process until I started coming back here. And then the people you see coming this way were the backdrop people, NPCs. So it's interesting because we've kind of had a little conversation, and I know you've got an interest in. That's why I wanted to get into what you were about to talk about, because you said something the other day that really, because I was starting to think, well, how do we even know this? How do we know even if this exists? Or it's an interesting theory, but how do we know there's backdrop people, background people, NPCs, characters that are not there until we need them there? The vast majority of the people that we talk to, do they really exist? I mean, they exist on this, what we say, this plane. Does that make them? Now, of course, if you harm them, you're going to receive the consequence, because you're not going to go to a judge and say, well, that's an NPC right there. Because you're not playing outside this reality with this form. You may be consciously on a higher dimension outside of here, but the form that your avatar that you're playing with is a part of this reality. So if you hurt this reality or get hurt in this reality, this avatar is a part of this reality. Now, we say if this is true, the higher consciousness, it's outside, maybe, should be, but what happens here still happens here. So whatever you do here, there's consequences. So we've got 15 seconds to go. That is basically me closing this out. I'm going to go to Dr. Terrence Michael Demeter, DC,
Yeah.
and we're going to go. Now, you tell me where you are at.
Um,
25 minutes.
okay, yeah, 25 minutes. I don't agree with Dolores. Um, let me ask you a quick question, okay? Because we're calling them
Okay.
non-playable characters, all right?
Non-playable characters.
And in a video game, often you have several characters you can choose from to be your character. Maybe you can be a male, a female, a magician, a warrior. You can choose your avatar. Okay, and I think from a higher point of view, we do choose our avatar. But
Okay.
this is the one I have. Okay, so from my point of view, everyone else, including yourself, is a non-playable character in the sense of I can't play them. You know what
Okay.
I mean? So right there, how many playable characters do you have in this reality? You got one.
That's where I'm at also. How do you know?
So I did look up on Dolores, and what she said is that backdrop people are people, and you never interact with them. They're the people at the
Okay.
wall. They're the people on the highway. They're the people you see getting off and on the bus. Uh, Random strangers that you never make eye contact with, talk to, or touch. So my question is, what happens if you do?
Well, okay. So one of the things that she kind of went on is the people that you actually choose to communicate with were not intentionally were a part of the backdrop. They were like Brad Pitt. They were actually given a role
Yeah.
ahead of time, and that's a whole nother ball of worms. It's like, okay, so what you're saying is you say there's a backdrop people, but I could never interact or communicate with them. But if I do interact or communicate with them, they were given roles in the first place, so they wouldn't totally backdrop. They were a part of the actual character makeup.
Yeah, I mean it's a confusing thing, which I don't really agree with that. I know Miss Cannon. She was a hypnotherapist and did a lot of past life regressions. So she was going back and talking to people where they were between lives. You know what I mean? Where
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was, disincarnate. So I think from that point of view, everyone, ye are gods and children of the Most High. We have
Oh,
that kind of power to create that. but do we? Yes, we do. I create that, you create that, so do the other 8 billion people. So we have this sort of collective creation, in my opinion. Like I said, we were talking a little earlier, and I got this kind of answer today, really early when I got home. I watching a video, and do backdrop people have a soul, okay? And
Okay.
from that point of view, everyone who is organic is here has has a soul, okay? Has a divine spark, a spirit. Uh, the thing that when someone dies, okay, the moment of death, your blood still circulating, you still have air in your lungs, okay? What makes the difference between someone who's deceased and who is alive, who has a near death experience and then comes back? It's that, let's call it a soul, leaves
Hmm.
leaves the body, okay? The part of you, the innate part of you that animates the body, that you know, you eat a sandwich, okay? Now,
Okay.
and you swallow it. And you don't got to think, okay, I need to make red blood cells. I need to build some muscle. I got this cut here. I need to take this protein and do something with it. Your body automatically does it. So in my opinion, that divine spark is the part of you that controls all the things you don't need to think about. You don't need to think about breathing. You don't need to think about growing hair. You don't need to think about your pupils dilating. All that stuff is done. But when you're deceased, that stuff doesn't happen anymore. So the part of you that leaves, that's your soul. Okay. Now, then this is where it kind of gets deep, and this is my new idea is, okay. We're all part of the great I am, the great oneness, the great source. Okay, and our our job in this cycle is to get our I am to differentiate, to become a person, okay, to individualize.
Okay.
Our main goal is to individualize, become I am, become a unique being, and then spiritualize back into source. Okay, because I believe until fairly recently, we were kind of like a collective consciousness. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it made sense to be that way. If you're living indigenously, kind of like a hunting and gathering type of society, maybe you had a few natural leaders, which were great leaders, and it made sense for the rest to just kind of follow the leader, be in line, be in their instinct and their intuition, and just follow what has worked for so many centuries, for so many thousands of years. It was a great survival mechanism. But now with modern culture, with civilization, we have the opportunity to truly be individuals. And I believe that's our goal now, is to
Oh,
individualize and then spiritualize back with source. Okay.
let me.
So let me just finish my
I want
thought.
to ask a quick question.
Okay.
How many individuals are there? 8 billion people, individuals. You think everyone's an individual?
I don't. One of the people I like what he has to say is his name is Jeffrey Wolf Green, and he is an
Okay.
evolutionary astrologer. Okay, and he maps out the progress of the human soul from like your first incarnation as a human into being completely spiritualized. Okay, and this is what he has to say. There's 4 states. Okay, number one is the dim. He calls it the dimly evolved state. Okay, and he
Okay.
says roughly 3 to 4% of all souls, 3% of souls are in this state, and you're looking at like he says self awareness is typically limited to the time and space right there, and you'd see these people as like they would have very low IQ, maybe some like mental retardation. They wouldn't be what we call quote unquote normal. Maybe like autistic, might
Mm.
severe autism might fall into that category. And that's like maybe your first incarnation, first few incarnations from an animal soul into a human. You know, the evolution
Whoa,
of
whoa, whoa. So you're saying you because you transcended here. You're saying coming from a non-human, now you're transitioning because
human. Yeah.
a prime example, Flairburn was basically talking about the dogs that she got were her guardian angels,
Mhm.
and they were there to protect her. So are those high evolution? What you're saying, the high evolution dogs can now incarnate into human bodies, but at a lower vibration.
Yeah, like I mean, I think like something like a dog. Okay,
Okay.
how do you make that leap from the animal soul, the kind of group animal soul, into being an individual soul? Well, let's say a dog sacrifices its life to save you, makes that conscious decision to surrender its life. In my opinion, that's the leap, you know, from one state to the other. That individual, you did an act that goes against what's natural for you. With animals, okay, like I mean, I think it all starts off as we all start off as like very basic minerals, rocks, and then we move into it's like evolution. Single-celled animals, multi-celled animals, multi-organ animals, and we if we made it this far, we've pretty much evolved up the life chain. You know, the chain of life from a very simple creature into a more complex creature. Okay.
I got another question. How do you explain? Now they say all dogs go to heaven. How do you explain the bad ones, though?
Well, I didn't say all dogs went to heaven. I
No,
said
I'm
that
just saying, that's that old saying, all dogs go to heaven. How do you explain are bad people or evil people, are they souls also?
that's what I'm getting into. Okay, and
Okay.
then this is let's just assume this is just his theory. Okay, and he's saying that someone in this thinly evolved state, they're probably like one of the first incarnations as a human, first human, just
Okay.
learning how to be a human. Okay, and then when they get more comfortable with being a human, they enter the second state, which is the consensus state. He calls it, and he says because you asked about percentages. And he says roughly 70% of all souls on the planet at this time are in the consensus state. Okay. And what that means is um, their entire orientation is reality, their values, their sense of meaning of life, moralities, customs, norms, taboos, what is right and wrong, is simply an extension of the consensus of their society. Basically, they're unable to think for themselves. Okay. They just go along with whatever. So whatever the experts say, whatever the celebrities, the politicians, whatever they're told.
So, so that individual doesn't have free will. What you're saying,
Basically, not
but
in the
that,
yeah,
but in a sense, that's just a different way of saying NPC.
yeah,
Because the
yeah,
NPC is the same thing. They don't do just anything. They're programmed to, hey, they cook, they clean, they drive, they do all the stuff,
yeah.
but they don't really have a true definition or opinion on what is what is. They just go along with, hey, everybody's this year voting Democrat. If
Yeah,
everybody starts voting Republican, they just go along with it. But that is what we're talking about.
that's what we're talking about is the NPC, the people who don't really have full will, really haven't found their I am, I mean, themselves. They just kind of go along with what they're told through the social programming, and then a biological programming, just pursuing, pleasure.
Programming in general. That's what you're saying. They're programs.
Yeah, and I was watching one of those spiritual teachers I really think is worthwhile watching is a young lady called Gigi Young. Okay, and just turned on the video driving home, and it just really, one of those synchronicity things, where what she was talking about was really what we're talking about, okay? And what she was saying is that everyone has a soul, quote unquote soul, something that animates your body. But do you have to earn your sort of I am? You have to individuate, you know what I mean? To be who you are, to separate from God and become an individual, which is his next state, the individuated state. Okay. And we're just kind of with percentages here. Compromises roughly 20% of souls. Okay. The soul now desires to discover who and what it is, independent of such conditioning. Souls in this state inwardly feel different from the majority of society and the country of birth. So you're starting to individuate. You're starting to like, I don't know, man. I don't feel like I fit into these people anymore. You start to look for yourself and your tribe, so to speak. Okay. Okay. What Gigi was saying was unconsciously, there's like say, let's say we always talk about 3D and 5D. Okay. If you're in 3D, you're in the consensus state. When you move into 5D, you're in the individuated state. Okay.
Okay, when you're in the 3D, you're what?
You are in the consensus state. You really can't think for yourself.
Consent.
You're
Okay.
an NPC, a backdrop character. You're not really that. There's really no such thing as a backdrop character as far as like they're like a video game. They're a real person. But I think
Well,
intuitively,
on this plane, they're a real person.
they're a real
Yes.
person. Yeah. Intuitively, we know that they haven't really individuated. So
Yeah.
we separate them out. And you can see that now. Ralph talks a lot about 3D, 4D, and 5D. When you're
Yeah.
in 3D, you're in this consensus state. You're just kind of going along with what you're told to do. You're not really thinking for yourself. And then, no one really talks about 4D too much, but there's that individual, I mean, in between state of 4D, where you're just kind of like individuating. You're waking up, so to speak. It's the awakening. Okay. And then when you move into 5D, you reach the spiritual state, which he says compromises 4 to 6% of the souls on the planet. This state of evolution, the very center of gravity within the soul's consciousness, shifts from subjective ego to the soul itself. You're becoming spiritualized. So I think we're kind of rambling here. What I'm saying is people saying there's NPCs, backdrop people, and that. What they're referring to is that level of soul development where you really haven't reached your I am. You really haven't become an individual. You're still part
Hmm.
of the collective. You haven't fully broken away from the collective humanity, the oneness with source almost. You know what I mean? And when you do and you become like an individual, you realize that there's this other group of people. And we see it coming out on YouTube all the time now, moving from 3D to 5D. What does that mean? You're becoming an individual. You think for yourself. You have your own opinion. And you're reuniting consciously with the all. You're
Okay.
spiritual for yourself. You know what I mean? So I think that's what people are seeing, and they're just using these names like backdrop people or NPCs or soulless portals to represent that. But these people are, in my opinion, actual human beings with a soul, but that soul has not yet separated and become individuated. It has not got its I am consciousness.
All right. Just to keep up with the time, you have almost 7.5 minutes left. Uh, you got it. Okay. So
Does that
basically,
make
what you're saying is,
sense then? Sometimes
hmm?
does what I'm saying make sense?
Well, it's breaking. I'm breaking it down. To me, I'm able to break it down. I mean, we don't know because just remember, we don't have an audience that is like feeding us back and saying, "Are these dudes crazy?" So no, but what basically what you're saying is when you're in the lower vibration, the third D, 3D.
Yeah.
You're born here. You're basic. You're basic a basic program. You're just going through day to day. In this reality, we do agree on this. In this 3D reality, this what we're dealing with. Everybody here to us is real, even
Yeah.
if it's an even if it's a demon, a vampire, a werewolf, or whatever. If we can physically see them, touch them, deal with them, we're considering them real. But as people grow in consciousness, that's where you're saying that's where the soul is evolving and actually becoming an individual at that point. And
Yeah, I
they're
think.
able to make choices.
Yeah, and I think subconsciously we realize there's this difference in people now. I mean, and an example I'm using is the common phrase of 3D and 5D. It's coming out.
Okay.
There's always you see the split. There's a split coming, the reality split. These people are staying here. These people are going there. And Dolores Cannon too maybe was the first person with that concept of the split. There's going to be a certain people who are evolved enough or spiritual enough to be over here, and there's going to be people who are staying behind. There's a lot of things. The law of one speaks of that. With like there's going to be a harvest into what it calls um, fourth density. It was in a spiritualized state. So there's a lot of speaking of this kind of split now, this time of transition we're in now, and I think that's what that is. Some people are really at a soul level individuating, becoming individuals. Okay. And when that happens, the next step is to rejoin with Source, rejoin with God, become a part of God, but an individual part of God. And that's
Okay.
a soul evolution. And people are realizing that that's what's going on. And not everyone is at that level. Some people are just younger souls. They've just been here less of time. It doesn't make them inhuman. It doesn't make them soulless. It just means they're further, that someone like you or myself perhaps are a little further along in our spiritual evolution than those folks are. And,
Like I said, your theory, hey, look, as a person, as a being, I like your theory better because it kind of, I ain't going to say it scares me, but like I say, they say it, or like it said, there's supposed to be 8 billion people on the planet.
uh,
And I've heard it in Earth and other holy texts talking about there's 70 something trillion people in existence. But like I say, like I said, what was said the other day with Flairburn, she was like, well, I think she was saying like there was 144,000 only souls there. Everybody else was a backdrop people, NPCs. And I'm thinking, reason why I'm having issues at work or having issues in my personal life is because I'm talking to people that ain't a soul, that they just don't understand the bigger picture. They don't
yeah,
understand the war between Israel and Hamas. You shouldn't be on either side. You just should be on the side of righteousness and what's just. You can't pick a side because there should be no war.
well, that's because you can think for yourself. You're an
Yes.
individuated soul. Or some people aren't. They just like whatever their parents tell them, whatever the TV news says, that's what they think is right. And they're unable to really, what's my opinion on this? You know what I mean? So to me, that is the NPC. They are real flesh and blood human beings. They have a life. They have their cares. They have their things they do, just like you and I do. They're not figments of our imagination, something created by our minds or some kind of computer put here to occupy space. They're real people, but they're just not as far as along as we are. And read something I got off Wikipedia. Okay, this is going to make my point. Is calling someone an NPC, backdrop person, a soulless portal. That's creating a matrix program, which is called the divide and conquer, the us and them
Okay.
program. Us and there's a them, okay? And this is off Wikipedia, okay? I googled NPC, okay? Non-player character is a far right internet meme that represents people who do not think for themselves or do not make their own decisions, those who lack introspection or interpersonal communication. It is often used to describe those who do not share conservative views, the
2 minutes.
liberals, us, and them. You know what I'm saying? When you start with it's an unplayable character, you're making someone into a non-human, a lower thing than you
But
are.
but that's why I say if it's still if you say that, what do you do at that point? You can't treat them any worse. You can't treat them bad. You can't harm them because they are still a part of the system that we're in. So if you
Well,
think them negative, you're lowering your own vibration.
yeah, but like Fleur said, I mean, I watched that video. She said like she thought like 90% of people in Brazil were like NPCs.
I did see that part. I was like,
Yeah.
God dang it.
Does
We
not make
got 1 minute.
does not make it so someone can say, well, Brazil, I mean, they're not really human. So we can just go over
Yeah.
there and take their stuff, take their
Well,
language.
see,
Really, they're not
that's
even
the tricky part because you cannot harm people because we're still existing on this plane of existence. So that where I feel like the people who actually harm people, those are the evil ones. Those are the ones who look at them and just see them as a non-playable character,
Yeah.
and they feel like they can do anything and everything. And those are the low vibrationals.
Mhm.
Those are what we call evil, the demons, the devils that feel like it could just treat people any kind of way, and there's no
Exactly.
consequences to them.
And that's just why I disagree with using that concept of soulless people or non-real people, because it
Yeah.
opens the door for those evil ones to go in and say, well, you know, pick a skin color, pick a race, a sex, a type of person. Oh, they're less than human, so we can enslave them. We can take their land. It's wrong.
Is okay. We're gonna leave it at that. Is wrong. You know what time it is, don't you?
It's time to go.
It has been that quick, that fast, that much information in just that shorter period of time. We've been literally talking 30 plus minutes.
I know it's crazy. Yeah, it's like
The time, but these were excellent jewels in here. I like your theory better than, like I say, that when I was listening to her and I listened to other players, and Ralph kind of keeps it kind of neutral. It's like everybody's just part of here and just growing and stuff. And
yeah,
she does take it to her levels that she'll break down. And there's some things that sound good, but like you say, 90%, 90.
yeah. I say there's non-playable characters, or well, that sadly has the evil one's gonna. Well, what is going? What I like Brazil, I'm gonna take. They're not human anyway. What difference does it make? Yeah.
And that's what I believe is what is in this construct. That's your
Mhm.
Agent Smith. That's your evil person that says, hey, there can never be a Neo. They'll never grow beyond what they are because they're non-playable characters,
No,
and we can do with them as we wish. Like I say, before I can personally agree to that, I have to be able to see it. Like at
yeah,
some point, what we're talking about has to be proven to us, and therefore it becomes fact. To me, right now, it's just a theory.
yeah. That's all theory. I mean, prove it.
Just a theory. All right, sir. We got another one down. What we're going to talk about next week? Where we're going to be at next week?
I'll let you know when I know.
All right. So I know you said maybe next Monday, next Tuesday,
Next Monday or
uh,
Tuesday, perhaps. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Monday or Tuesday. Long as I'm scheduled for overtime if possible. So if they call, like if they call right now, I'm gone.
No,
But if
I'm
I'm available,
gonna try to do a deep dive on my channel with this and explain my, my theory a little bit better, and probably gonna link this video for your channel onto mine, and just like I'm gonna do
okay.
a dive, I think is what I'm gonna do. Um, I don't know when, next week sometime probably. But yeah, let's plan for Monday, Tuesday. Right now, we'll communicate and go from there.
Whatever subject comes up, let me know, and we're gonna go from there.
All right, that works.
All right.
Thanks for
Well,
having me on.
it's been an excellent time, man. Hey, all we can do is just leave people thinking. Wish everyone peace, health, and wealth. Dr. Demeter, take it easy. Peace,
Last
health, and wealth. Until next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.